They're not over you. They tell themselves they moved on. They post like they're happy. They act unbothered. They distract themselves with new people, new conversations, new attention. But deep down, they're still carrying pieces of you they can't seem to let go of, because getting over someone is easy when the connection meant nothing. But when somebody truly touched your spirit, when somebody loved you deeply, understood you deeply, or changed your life emotionally, that does not disappear overnight. Some people walk away physically long before they let go emotionally. And the truth is, a lot of people only realize your value once your energy is no longer available to them. That's when the silence starts getting loud. That's when memories start showing up at random times, late nights, long drives, certain songs, certain places, certain smells. Suddenly, your absence becomes impossible to ignore. See, people think moving on is about finding somebody else. It's not. You can lay beside somebody new and still emotionally crave somebody from your past. That's why rebounds rarely heal people. Distractions only delay emotions. Eventually, the mind gets quiet, and reality catches up. Now they sitting there wondering how somebody who loved them that deeply became a stranger. And let's be honest, sometimes they thought you would always stay. They thought no matter how distant they became, no matter how inconsistent, no matter how careless, you would still be there waiting. That's why your absence hit them harder than expected, because some people don't appreciate emotional safety until they lose access to it. Now they compare everybody to you without even realizing it. The way you listened, the way you cared, the way you understood little things about them nobody else noticed. Real connections leave emotional fingerprints. And no matter how much time passes, certain people never fully forget how you made them feel. That's why some people randomly come back months or even years later. Not because they suddenly changed overnight, but because life finally forced them to feel what they avoided before. See, pride delays emotions. A lot of people pretend they're okay because admitting they miss you feels like vulnerability. So instead of reaching out honestly, they watch quietly. They check your social media, ask about you indirectly. Look for signs that you still think about them too, because ego wants reassurance before emotion takes the risk. And sometimes they miss the version of themselves that existed when you were around. That's another truth people don't talk about enough. You weren't just a person to them. You were a feeling, a comfort, a chapter of life they emotionally attached themselves to. And when you disappeared, a certain warmth disappeared with you. That's hard to replace, especially if the connection was genuine. See, fake connections fade quickly. Real ones linger. That's why even after arguments, distance, breakups, or silence, some people still feel emotionally tied to you. Not every relationship ends because love disappeared. Sometimes people sabotage what they love because they're emotionally immature, afraid, damaged, or not ready. And later on, regret starts speaking, especially when they realize not everybody loves the way you loved. Not everybody is patient. Not everybody is loyal. Not everybody is emotionally genuine. A lot of people learn that the hard way after losing someone real. And by the time they understand it, you've already started healing. That's when they begin noticing your absence everywhere, because healing changes your energy. You stop chasing, stop begging, stop trying to force conversations, stop explaining your worth. And strangely enough, sometimes people feel your detachment more than your presence, because your silence says what your words no longer need to. Now they wonder, did I lose them for real this time? And uncertainty creates emotional panic, especially for people who got too comfortable with your forgiveness. Some people are not over you because deep down they know they may never find the exact connection again. Not because you're perfect, but because certain people are rare emotionally. Real emotional safety is rare. Real understanding is rare. Real loyalty is rare. And once somebody experiences that, ordinary connections start feeling empty afterward. That's why some people keep revisiting old memories. Because memories allow them to temporarily reconnect with emotions they no longer have access to in real life. But here's something important. Somebody missing you does not automatically mean they deserve access to you again. A person can miss you deeply and still not be healthy for you. That's the part people forget. Missing someone and being ready to love them correctly are two completely different things. Sometimes people return because they feel lonely. Sometimes they return because their ego is bruised. Sometimes they return because life humbled them. But sometimes they truly do realize what they lost. The problem is, realization often arrives late, after the damage, after the distance, after the trust faded. And by then, you may not even be the same person anymore. Pain changes people. Healing changes people too. The version of you that once waited for their attention may no longer exist. That's why some people struggle emotionally after losing you. Because they expected access forever. They thought your love was permanent no matter how they behaved. But eventually, even the deepest hearts get tired of being undervalued. And once somebody truly starts choosing themselves, their energy shifts permanently. Now suddenly you seem harder to reach, harder to read, harder to emotionally access. That mystery alone keeps some people attached longer than they admit. Because human beings naturally obsess over what they no longer fully understand, especially when guilt gets involved. Some people are not over you because they know they hurt somebody who genuinely cared about them, and guilt has a way of haunting people quietly. Especially at night, especially during lonely moments, especially after temporary distractions stop working. That's when the mind replays everything. The conversations, the mistakes, the things left unsaid. And sometimes they finally feel the pain they caused you, only after you stopped reacting. That's the irony of life. Some people only understand your emotional value once they can no longer reach it. But your healing cannot depend on whether somebody misses you. That's important, because closure does not always come from them returning. Sometimes closure comes from finally understanding your own worth. Sometimes the lesson is realizing you can be deeply loved and still need to walk away. And sometimes the greatest revenge is not bitterness. It's growth. Because nothing confuses people more than seeing someone they thought would stay broken finally find peace. And whether they admit it publicly or not. Some people carry you in their heart far longer than you realize. Not every connection disappears. Not every memory fades. Not every love fully dies. Some people move on physically while emotionally a part of them still looks for you in every room they enter. Because they're not over you. Not completely. If you believe this message has been helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And always remember, where the behavior pattern repeats, the truth speaks. Until the next time.